Chris Mackowski of Emerging Civil War, and I am here at Spring Hill, just south of Franklin, Tennessee, with Eric Jacobson. He's the CEO of the Battle of Franklin Trust, who helps manage this property and shepherds it in some fantastic ways and opens up a vista for one of the great questions of the Civil War. Eric, as we're standing here, this is known as kind of the affair at Spring Hill because of a lost opportunity presented to Confederates that has raised questions ever since. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, so when John Bell Hood moves into Middle Tennessee in the autumn of 1864, his goal is to try and retake Nashville, which, contrary to a lot of popular legend, although it has a pretty impressive ring of fortifications, there aren't a lot of troops in Nashville until very late November. Hood really loses his main initiative here at Spring Hill, and it leads to the Battle of Franklin. So, really the what if that sometimes gets posed is, what would have happened had they been successful? What if Hood's Tennessee campaign had been successful? And it's always, I think, a little dangerous to play the what if because it's really speculative, but I can say this, had Hood been successful in either taking Nashville or very seriously threatening it, I think there's certainly one plausible possibility. If you look at the facts, the Lincoln administration and Ulysses S. Grant were very concerned about Hood's movement into Tennessee. This Confederate army was still a very, very potent army, and it was very dangerous, and they knew it. I've come to this conclusion through the years. When William Sherman gets to Savannah around Christmas time, 1864, had Hood been able to somehow take the capital of Tennessee, he didn't have to keep it. All he had to do was take it, show that he could cause all sorts of chaos, and I believe that without a doubt Sherman does not move into the Carolinas. Sherman would have had to detach troops and send them back to Middle Tennessee, which he'd already done, but had Hood been able to cripple that force and then take the city, I think it places the outcome of the war not in any doubt, but it really does lead to the possibility of the war dragging on for many more months.
And a lot of those questions about this campaign really center on this piece of ground that we're standing on today, because Confederates get so close to cutting off Schofield from getting up toward Nashville and cut the pike, but we're 200 yards away from making that happen. Right. And a lot of people say, well, what if they had blocked the pike? Why has that become such a key moment or key question?
Well, it's sort of like, what if Lee had gotten the high ground on that first day at Gettysburg? What if Jackson hadn't died at Chancellorsville? I think it falls into that kind of category. What if Lincoln hadn't been assassinated? There's no doubt there's no Battle of Franklin. But what does happen is, because of this, there is, and it is a bloody affair. I mean, the Confederates go in just headlong, and I think most of even the rank and file Confederates, they knew what had happened and what had not happened here. So they go in just literally, rolling in like a machine. And ultimately, Franklin and Nashville is the death knell of the Army of Tennessee. That's to me why this ground is as important as anything, because the war we know today is going to end in a few months. They didn't. We can't forget that. They didn't know the war was going to end. And even after Spring Hill, the Confederate Army was that how do I want to say this? They're that committed, that they're willing to attack. It's not like Hood was pushing them forward that afternoon. They went in there with the fury, and then even what's left of them go up to Nashville. So it's all super important, because this is where the war really does begin to end. Because you know what happens? The West goes east. Yeah. Everything gets wrapped up in the West, and the West goes east. Grant had already gone east, Sherman goes east, and Thomas lays the hammer down on Hood at Nashville. And, all that starts right here.
It is a privilege to be out here with you. I want to say thanks for all the great work that you and the Battle of Franklin Trust does to preserve this and tell this story. You guys have had a great year of success, and I wish you all the more.
Thanks, appreciate it. It's an honor to do it.